Zim.
FFIE.
LASE. Zim. Zim.
API.
Yeah. Rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. That's the one where like colon cancer really starts to get scary, you know? Like rest in peace to that guy, man. Colon cancer is freaking scary.
LASR.
I'm
LASR.
checking my Discord. Wonder if it's showing a sign Bitcoin's gonna pump soon. Yeah, something we talked about yesterday. Something that's really interesting regarding Bitcoin, I think, here is like, look at Bitcoin has been in one of the most obvious ranges I've ever seen anything be in. People saying yesterday that this was driven by
Zim.
algorithmic traders, but like this has been
Zim.
one of the most obvious ranges I've ever seen anything be in ever. Like down, like look at this, bottom range, bottom range, bottom range, top range, top range, top range, top range, top range. Literally, it works every time. Like in that regard, this pullback is not a shocking thing. You know, people will be like, "Oh no, Bitcoin pulled back the last few days." It's like it's just following the trend. It's been in this trend for almost a year straight, like 7-8 months now. So, you know, honestly, I'm worried about buying. Like if it gets down here, I might buy it up at 50K. I might buy it up at 50K. I'm worried that I'm gonna just somehow get unlucky, but in theory, it should drop down to 50K now, right? That seems like a big support before it takes off. But who knows, man? Nobody freaking knows, really. Yeah, I have a bidet, you know. You think Tesla's gonna rip today? It depends on how it behaves for the Cybertruck event. It really does. I really don't know. It depends on how it behaves for Cybertruck event. Does today's CPI report come in higher or lower than the 0.1% expected month over month?
Neogen reported
vote on the poll. Let me know what you guys think.
7 cents in earnings, revenue of
CPI report come in higher or
$217 million.
low
November
versus
Echo
the,
Oscar Golf and
0.1% month to
EOG
month?
maintaining full year guidance.
MSTR. Big spread.
The estimate was a loss of 3 cents. That correction, the estimate was 9 cents in earnings adjusted, so that's a short on
ABUS.
earnings for November Echo Oscar Golf.
ZIM,
FFIE,
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, that's an interesting fact, P.
Reuters
ABUS.
reporting
300 by the end of the year. Yeah, the
FFIE.
cyber,
that
or the, I
X
keep saying
or
cyber
Twitter will
stuff, the
not be
robotaxi
designated
event is
as
today.
gatekeeper.
That's a big event, man.
From hard
historically,
hats
that's been
to
like a big
steel-toed
buy to
boots,
rumor sell to
Granger's
these
got
things.
your
It
safety
does look-
needs covered.
Keeper under landmark EU tech rules.
Delta
according to
Airlines reported
Reuters
earnings today. They
sources.
posted 197 EPS versus 152 expected revenue at 15.677 billion versus
GXO,
14.67 billion.
TLRY,
expected. So better than
Tilray,
expected
Tilray
EPS and
reporting.
revenue.
TLP.
Revenue went up.
CLSK.
EPS went up. So that's good.
APLD,
CPI is cooking today. Great. So we have CPI inflation data today, guys. CPI data today. Big day, massive day.
Duo,
Tilray
Huge day.
reporting a
It's a day
loss
you
of
wanna pay
4
attention
cents.
to.
The estimate on
And
Tilray
today, just want to thank you for all
Tall
the content you put out.
was
Thank you,
a
Mark.
loss of
Appreciate it,
4
bro.
cents, so
60K
that's in
support. If
line.
that holds,
Revenue
it'll be super bullish.
200.04
Gotta keep in mind Bitcoin
BNZI.
seasonality trend stuff.
million dollars. The estimate was 219 million, so that's
It
short
just
on
depends on how
revenue.
long. I'll probably buy it if it drops down here to 50K, most likely. Probably, right? Like, we don't know for sure. but I would
BNZI.
probably buy it in that situation.
Inline earnings for, or inline loss for TLRY, Tango Lima Romeo Yankee.
TPST,
TPST, Tempest announcing agreement with
TPST,
Roche to support
TPST.
advancement of amazeplat
TPST,
combination
TLMC.
therapy into first line
TPST,
hepatocellular
Amazon at
carcinoma pivotal
185.
trial. That's Tango Papa Sandy Tango.
TPST.
And
I heard Robotaxi event is
RHHBY.
21 and over event. Gonna be a lot of. Not here. You could join this one no matter what. Hoping CPI comes in hot. Want to see a big spy run post elections. Yeah, for sure. Again, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time is when CPI inflation data drops. It's a massive day, guys. It really is. This is a huge report. We still got over an hour left. But,
YXT correction on that expands
Palantir
customer
stake in the
base
EV
to include over
market
200
maker
Fortune
Faraday
500
Future
companies
touched nearly 9%
in
after
China.
converting receivable
That's
into equity.
Yankee
TD
X-ray
Bank also
Tango,
stock
YXT.
is slumping on a report of $3 billion fine and asset cap.
NUWE,
All right, so GSK settles the vast majority
TPST.
of their Zantac claims for about $2.2 billion. Does it really?
EVGO, EVgo, and Delta Electronics signed MOU to co-develop next-generation charging
Wind.
architecture. Echo Victor
Like, I
Golf
have acid
Oscar.
reflux.
FHTX, Flockhorn Therapeutics announced first patient dose with first-in-class oral SMARCA2 selective inhibitor FHD 909 in phase 1 trial for SMARCA4 mutated
Duo.
solid tumors. That's Foxtrot Hotel Tango X-ray, FHTX.
TPST, WHLR,
Interesting.
MDWD,
Yeah, I don't think
MetaWound
I've ever really
announcing
taken Zantac
phase
like that.
2
Like,
head-to-head
I've-
study evaluating Ascarex versus collagenase in
WHLR,
patients with venous leg ulcers. That's Michael Delta
interesting.
Whiskey Delta.
Yeah, man.
BNZI.
So just everybody be safe.
RNAZ,
everybody
Transcode
be safe in
Therapeutics
Florida,
completes
man.
initial
TPST.
dosing of first cohort in phase 1 clinical trial with TDX-MC138 microRNA targeted technology.
Florida's West Coast no longer under
That's
the
Romeo
hurricane.
November Alpha Zulu.
It's turned into a tropical storm, so that's good. It's moving away from Florida after making landfall. on
TPST,
Seattle.
another
Hurricane
press
on
release,
Wednesday.
also the company extending their
As of 5 a.m. today,
limited
Milton
duration
had a
stock
NUW.
holder
sustained
rights
winds of
plan,
85
Tango
miles per
Papa
hour.
Sandy Tango.
So it's moving past, luckily.
BBVA,
TPST, TPST.
Yeah, man, we just had bad timing. We were supposed to go to
TPST.
Disney World right when we were supposed to go
TPST
Thursday, but
shares
today. We were supposed to
popping
go-
on
TPST.
that press release now.
and like I
off
think we
the
would have been
highs.
fine going today, but
TIGR.
$1.60 up 25
You know.
cents. Tango Papa Sandy
Everything would be
Tango.
close.
MSTR.
So wouldn't have worked anyway. Acid reflux buy or sell, definitely a sell.
TIGR.
All right, Mark Z is now the second richest person in the world. Bezos selling all his stock,
MSTR.
13. Yeah.
FFIE.
Right, but Sam, so I'm looking at the trend alone, and we could always do something else outside of a trend here, but I'm just looking at this specific trend here, so like we can see it. Right, this trend is one of the most clean trends in all
FFIE.
of finance right now. Like that trend alone, that's one of the most clean trends in finance. It's just so clear. Like look at all the confirmations.
FFIE.
It literally confirms exactly. People are saying this is because of algorithms and ETF flows. And maybe that's true. But look at that. That's like, that's a bad arrow here. But look at that. That's a very nice, very clean trend here. So is this. Like, it's just really obvious. So if it drops to 50K, I'm buying it. But again, yeah, definitely worst timing ever. Top 3 worst ever in the world. Hey, what's up, Freddy? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's been trending down, but that's okay. You know, eventually I think it's going to trend up. That's why I don't mind. Big money's behind it now is the thing, right? So big money's not behind it.
FFIE.
And so with big money being behind it now, then, you know, it's the path.
FFIE.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a joke, of course. This hurricane's massive and scary. I hope everybody's safe, you know. Well, some are CB, others are going long, you know. What I mean is big money, I mean the ETF. Like now that it has an
TPST.
ETF, people are benefiting from it, and that's going to cause more bullishness on it.
MSTX.
FFIE. WHLR.
LYT.
TPST. TPST. WHLR.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the footage from the hurricane, man. Just rough.
WHLR.
They're calling this Florida man who stayed on his
TPST.
boat during the hurricane Lieutenant Dan.
TPST. WHLR. TPST. TPST.
All right, guys. I don't know. I think Disney will bounce back and be okay. You know, I think there's risks, but yeah. CPI will affect rate cuts. That's the big thing to look at when we going into CPI report.
LASE.
Right, today's CPI report in an hour and 20 minutes. Going into this report, right now the likelihood is about 78% thinking we're going to do 25 basis point cut. Again, my question is always this, right? Why the heck do we use the basis point system? Like, dude, why don't you just say we decided to cut rates 0.25% today? 0.25%. Everybody understands that, right? Everybody all across the world understands 0.25%, 0.5%, 0.75%, 1%. You know, like, why say 100 basis points instead of 1%? Why say, why say 25 basis points instead of 0.25%, 50 basis points instead of 0.5%, 75 basis points instead of 0.75%? Like, why not put it in terms like these are interest rates that banks charge each other. Eventually, they trickle into everything else. And so, if you put it in terms that everybody understands interest rates for the most part, and if you didn't say 100 basis points, 75 basis points, people would understand it. Say 0.75 basis points. Say, you know, 0.25% basis, you know, or 0.25%, not 0.75 basis. Just say 0.75%. Say 0.5%. Say 0.25%. You know, people understand that. Like, in terms of interest rates around the country, people are going to understand what you mean if you say, hey, we're cutting rates 1%. Right? They know that's a big rate cut. Dropping rates 1%. This is no rate, no cut. So almost 22% of people. So, and I'm curious to see, it depends on what inflation does here. You know, again, there's a very famous quote in The Big Short, and it says bankers like to use big words to confuse people, or really just so people leave them alone altogether, right? Really jargon heavy. Finance is really jargon heavy, like a lot of different
WHLR
and slang terms,
big spread,
and just jargon.
WHLR.
CPI is at 830. Yes. Yeah. Tesla should be at 299 by the end of the week. I don't know.
WHLR.
Sounds more scientific, yeah. I guess it's easier to say for some people than 0.25% or 0.5%. I just think it makes more sense if you base it down to what it actually is, which is, you know, 100 basis points is 1%.
WHLR. TPST.
See, bro, GameStop might be doing what I said they should do. Remember what I said they should do like years ago? I've been saying this for years. GameStop should sell collectibles, right? Same market. It's the same market. I love collectibles. I love video games. I'll go to your store if you start selling Pokemon cards, bro. I'm telling you, I will go to GameStop. My son and I love going, like, looking around for that type of stuff. And so, yeah, again, GameStop pivoting. They tapped into the booming collectibles market, offering PSA graded trading cards.
FFIE.
Attracted a new demographic of collectors, enthusiasts. They're now accepting, you know, specific
FFIE.
PSA graded cards at GameStop. And so they're buying and selling Pokemon cards, and I think that's the freaking way.
CRKN.
That's the way. You turn yourself into like a comic. Like, if you go to a comic store right now, you look up a comic store, you go to that store, you're going to be able to buy Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering cards. You're going to be able to buy comics. You're going to be able to buy games. You're going to be able to, there's some of them have like stadiums for card game stadiums and stuff like that. Like, there's ways that they can diversify their business outside of pure video games, and they need to make it up. And I think that's the way to do it. In GameStop, you could still keep your name as GameStop. Like, that's what you do. So.
MSTR.
Bro, what do you think? Gold buy or sell?
MSTR.
No idea.
At your
If anything, I think you're a bot.
Take advantage of the flexibility. Today we're gonna,
you know, prove to me you're not a bot.
MSTX.
Gold buy or sell guy.
MSTR.
Well, yeah, but what I mean by comics is just like,
MSTR. MSTR.
yeah, I mean collectibles is what I mean. Like, comics kind of fit into the collectibles. You could sell them, but like, you know, that's mostly a dead market. I agree. But collectibles in general, sports collectibles.
MSTR.
You know. I can prove you I'm not a bot. Let me
BNZI.
send you a chart. I mean, I don't know. I believe you're not a bot. If everyone understood finance, banks couldn't charge
SQQQ.
zero fees for their expertise. Yeah, for sure.
MSTR.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
MSTR.
If it requires me to download
FFIE.
anything green technique, I'm not
MSTR.
doing it, bro. I'm sorry.
MSTR.
Yeah, so
MSTX.
Delta beat earnings though. So I'm reading this
FFIE.
thing Pawn sent me. It says Delta stock slides after earnings miss, but they beat earnings. They came in
FFIE.
better than expected EPS, better than expected revenue. What did they miss on? They posted 150 EPS. Oh, okay, never mind. My mistake. I don't know which one of these is right or wrong.
FFIE.
So one of them says Delta had Q3 EPS of 197 and they expected 152. The other one says that they posted
FFIE.
adjusted EPS is 150. Okay, so they missed versus 152. Revenue came in at 15.67. They beat revenue, missed EPS. That's what it is. Okay, gotcha. For Delta. And is Delta negatively reacting to this?
TPST.
Let's see.
TPST.
Yeah, Delta's down. Yeah. Interesting.
MSTX.
Yeah, I mean, I left Chase whenever I was broke and I didn't have that much money. And again, even when I do, so here's my problem. Is like I'm kind of OCD in a lot of different ways. One of the ways I'm OCD is like I don't like to sit on money in my bank account. Right? I just feel vulnerable doing so, and so I usually get money. Anytime I get money, I stick it somewhere else, like either a savings account or some type of
MSTX.
less liquid account, right? Sometimes I invest it in other stuff. I just want to put it somewhere in a less liquid
ADTX.
account. I do not like sitting on large sums of money in my bank account. I just don't. And so I had Chase for a long time. And even though I wasn't like broke, right? My bank account might have looked that way, but I wasn't broke at all. But because of that, Chase would intentionally put my orders, like make my orders go through, like make purchases, like random subscriptions that I didn't need anymore. And it's my fault for not canceling them. But Chase would put the order in and then overdraft me over and over
MSTR.
and over and over again to where I was spending like $400 or $500 just in overdraft fees a month. You know, when I called Chase and I was like, hey, don't give me overdrafts. Like basically what I told him is like, don't
MSTR.
put the charges through. Like, don't allow the
MSTR.
charges to go
Benzinger
through if I
market
don't have the
update.
money in the
S&P
account.
futures down
You know?
10.50.
And again, what I ended up doing was
MSTR.
canceling them
56,
anyway. But it was the
Nasdaq
principle
down
of it. I was like, hey man, y'all
45.25.
charged me thousands of dollars.
Crude is
in
up
fees
$1.03
like
at
last year.
74.27.
And I told him, I was like,
Natural
listen,
gas
it's not
down
that I'm
4
broke.
cents
I
at
just take my money and I stick it
$2.62.
somewhere
Gold
else. I don't want my
up
money to sit. And they probably didn't like
$7.90
that
at
either.
26.33.90.
But
Bitcoin futures up
Chase is
80
one
at
of the worst, bro. Chase is one of the worst. Listen,
61,195.
I have a lot of different bank accounts. Chase was one of the worst.
Coming up
They just charge you.
at
So
8:30,
much
the
for
Consumer
that.
Price Index for September,
TPST.
month over month, plus 0.2% expected. Also, jobless claims. Fed Governor Cook at 9:15. Fed's barking at 10:30.
SIDU.
Natural gas storage at 10:30. The Cleveland
TPST.
CPI at
Okay, well, send me a
11.
picture
Fed's
of the
Williams
chart
at
on
11.
TradingViewer. Just tell me what you're
At
looking
11:30, the
but
4-week and 8-week
I'm not
bill
gonna download
auctions. At
anything.
1 p.m., the 30-year bond auction.
Well, that's definitely
Federal
not
budget
true. See,
balance at 2
it just
p.m.
doesn't
Eastern
work.
Time.
Look,
TPST.
in a lot of ways, I'm very social. Like I push social aspect. Like I'm okay with free college. I'm okay with
TPST.
tax money getting spent on that. I think tax money is wasted in a lot of ways. I'm okay with some Medicare. Like I'm okay with some insurance being free as well, right? Like Canada does it, and it's
TPST.
not. While it's not perfect for sure. Like I've lived in Canada. I've been to the doctor there, right? And while Canada does it and it's not perfect, it's still better for some people than a lot of other stuff. And so I'm okay with certain aspects of that. I don't want to get too political, you know, but I'm also a capitalist. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a capitalist for sure. Like communes work when they're in small scale. When they're on large scale, they absolutely
SRFM.
do not. And history has showed that time and time and time again, right? And to think that somehow we're just going to get it right this time, even though we've never gotten it right before, is just kind of dumb, in my opinion, you know? But hey, whatever you believe, it's all love here.
ADTX. GXO.
And again, regardless of whether you agree or disagree with me here, it's all love. I hope you guys understand. Inflation data drops in a little bit over an hour, guys. A little bit over an hour. CPI inflation data drops. Yeah, I just think our tax dollars get spent on a lot of other dumb stuff, and so that's okay with. I'm okay with money getting spent on that. I'm paying and I'm paying taxes. Again, I am paying tens and tens of thousands of dollars in taxes. In some instances, over 100K in taxes a year.
TPST.
My friends laughed when I said I was going to start using AI automations to trade the crypto market.
TPST.
But a few years later, look where I'm living. And this is all thanks to automated AI trading technology.
TPST.
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 IMTX, IMATIX, files for mixed shelf, size not disclosed, India Michael Tango X-ray.
TPST.
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 MSTX.
TPST.
TPST.
TPST, Tempest Therapeutics, more highs now. $1.93. Tango Papa Sandy Tango. Announced an agreement with Roche. That's TPST.
TPST.
TPST. PDD.
TPST.
TPST.
TPST. TPST.
TPST. TPST.
TPST.
TPST.
MSTX. AMZN.
I came across this opportunity for AI.
What's up, everyone? All right, well, today is my birthday, and I am down $275,000. It's the worst day I've ever had, basically times 3. I can't, it's ridiculous. I hardly even know what to say other than this is so stupid. Even after doing this for as long as I've been What's up, everyone? All right, well, today is my birthday, and I am down $275,000. It's the worst day I've ever had, basically times 3. I can't, it's ridiculous. I hardly even know what to say other than this is so stupid. Even after doing this for as long as I've been trading, I still underestimate the power of emotions. A day like today, which, you know, any other day I probably would have walked away a lot sooner. But, you know, today, being my birthday, want to finish green and feel good about myself. And I was up nicely on the day. I then kind of, you know, I was chasing that big green day and went for that next big trade and boom, back to break even. Jumped in another stock real quick, was down 30 grand, jumped in 2 others at the same time. That's a mistake. And, well, one of them went up, the other one way down, and I screwed up both of them. So we're gonna talk about those trades. We'll do a little bit of a recap where I actually show you those trades.
Here. It's not fun. I hate paying it. Of course, anybody in that situation does. But
ALTM,
but hey,
AMZN.
it's a blessing, right? Like, it's a blessing. Tesla, bounce it up a little bit. Look at Tesla. AMD at 172s. AMD trying to push up.
FFIE,
GXO,
The government pumps way too hard.
FFIE,
Oh, yeah. Nvidia also recovering. Yeah, Nvidia down here at 132.50. So Nvidia's moving some. Tesla bouncing at the volume weighted average price. All right. Yeah, I thought about it today, guys. So
FFIE,
GXO,
CRKN,
MSTR, 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 IBIT, SRFM, AMZN, SRFM, MSTX,
yeah, I'm looking at a couple
SRFM.
different things. This one's called the 1 Minute Monster.
MSTR,
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's see.
FFIE, TPST,
Short term, but yeah, the 1 Minute Monster honestly looks
TPST.
pretty good. I'm building some stuff in the background here, chat. Check this out. This is what I call the 1 Minute Monster. I'm not going to show you what it is, but check it out.
SRFM,
So
CONL,
this is a 1 minute indicator. So you get the green indicator, you get follow through.
TPST.
Green indicator, you get follow through. Right, when you back check it, back test it, look at this,
SRFM,
red, boom. Red, boom. Green, boom. Green, boom. Green, boom. This one was wrong. This one worked. So that's 1. That one worked. That one worked. That one worked a little bit. This one maybe didn't. Look at that one. Boom. Nice breakdown. That one worked. I call this the 1 Minute Monster. I'm still building stuff though. You know, I also have a 5
FFIE.
Minute Monster too. Let me see if I can put that one up too. So that's the 1 Minute Monster, and then I've got the 5 Minute Monster, which is a longer term indicator for sure. But I mean, it's honestly genuinely pretty impressive. Like, look, here's the 5 minute one. Look at that. Green, nice little follow through there. Red, nice little breakdown. Look at that. Literally called the top. Boom. Got the breakdown. Called the top there. Called the top there. Called the bottom here. This one,
FFIE,
ambiguous whether it worked or not. This one, nice little breakdown. Look at that. Look at that. Literally called the top. Follow through. Green. Breakdown. Look at that. Literally called the bottom again. Bottom again.
Imagine Warlock,
Honestly, so these are pretty
and
good. Look at that
Archdemon
red
in one
on the very
stack.
top right before the
And I
big
beat them
breakdown.
using only
Yeah.
2 heroes.
So I'm building some
Think
stuff
you're
here in the
tough?
background.
Who let you speak?
I've been working on
You know
these
who I am?
And yeah, they're getting pretty good. Honestly, I might be NASCAR. I might be, bro.
YYAI.
Oh, 100K Bitcoin. When do y'all think Bitcoin will hit 100K? Again, CPI inflation data drops in an hour and 15 minutes. Or an hour and 5 minutes. I don't know. I'm building stuff now in the background. Again, I got some of these on TOS too. Like, they're not perfect, but... Like, look, here's an example of one on TOS.
TPST.
So I got it implemented on TOS too.
ADTX.
But like, here's AMD yesterday as an example.
YYAI.
Look at that.
YYAI.
Literally called the bottom. Literally called the top.
YYAI.
These don't show up a lot, the one I have on TOS.
YYAI.
And I'm still kind of working in the lab with these. But they're pretty good,
IMTX,
right? Like, they
another
do
MSTR.
press
bottoms
release
and
now
tops.
announcing
Look at that.
$150 million public offering, India Michael Tango X-ray.
Bottom, bounce, top, breakdown,
ADTX.
bottom, bounce.
GXO. GXO.
GXO. Big spread.
EVGO.
And again, like I said earlier, none of these are necessarily simple, right? Like, these use a lot of different conditions.
Mara.
EVGO.
But that goes against your whole philosophy.
IREN.
No, not necessarily. Listen, my philosophy is very simple. I tell you guys this all the time. I am here to make money. Without question, here to make money. Like, I'm very honest about that. Nobody's spending 4 hours a day live streaming not to make money. Of course, everybody's here to make money. My big thing
TIGR.
is I do not sell a course. There's no paywalls behind my content. And we're here to help beginners. We're also here to tell people the truth about trading, which is that most day traders lose. Right? Like, that is my philosophy, without question. But I'm certainly making money doing this. Anybody
EVGO.
here is doing that, right?
MSTR. Big spread.
Like, no offense to you guys, but I would
EVGO.
rather trust somebody who said, and again, you've heard me say this before, so this is not my first
Duo.
time saying this. I would rather trust somebody who is upfront about their intentions than somebody who pretends to be here out of the kindness of their heart and just likes helping people and watch me build schools, guys. I just like helping people. I
Coin.
just like teaching.
CONL.
Guys.
IBIT.
Like, total nonsense. Who would y'all rather trust? Somebody that's real about it or somebody that's just, you know.
CONL. Coin. CONL.
Yeah. I'm very honest about it. Hey, thank you, Yellow. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Yeah, the most ridiculous words ever. I just like teaching. I don't trade, guys. I'm not going to take trades. You know, I just like teaching. So buy my course on how to trade, even though I don't trade. And the last time I really made a bunch of money was 15 years ago, and I'm going to try to bring that up and, you know, nonsense. We all long thought John was here out of the goodness of their heart. I like you guys. I think you guys can probably see. I try to help people, you know? Like, I try to genuinely be honest with people and help people. I'm here to, you know, I want to help people, but I'm also here to make money for sure, without question. And everybody is, you know? That's everybody. Running a YouTube channel is stressful and
TPST.
difficult. You know, people are mean.
TPST.
You know, I had a guy who my
EVGO.
son was friends with
EVGO.
his son, right? And I made the
EVGO.
mistake of, I didn't really know this guy well, but when I was kind of talking to him and BSing with him, I kind of ranted a little bit. Huge mistake. I thought he was chill, right? I'm like, hey man, running a YouTube channel is difficult. People are mean, you know, they like harass you, they insult you. It's difficult. I don't know if I want to do this forever. Made the huge mistake of saying that, right? Within a couple weeks, This guy,
EVGO.
he was already coming on my stream occasionally, but I was upfront about it. And I told him, I was like, hey, look, you're never getting equity in this. If you want to come on my stream and chill, sure. But, like, you're never going to get a piece of this. Like, like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I can run the whole thing by myself. Within weeks, I started getting bots basically praising that guy and smack talking me constantly. Like, John's horrible, but this guy, Steve, is great.
CRKN.
You know? You should make Steve co-host. Cough, cough, cough. I'm sitting there
MSTR.
like, you freaking dummy, bro.
MSTR.
Like, number one, it's so obvious and self-evident. Like, it's so transparent what's happening. Like, if you think I'm dumb and I'm just going to be like,
MSTR.
oh, Steve is a great co-host. Let me give you equity, Steve. Like, the dumbest decision he
MSTR.
could ever make. Right? I immediately distanced myself from him and just kind of, like, never spoke to him again. Just dumb.
MSTR.
Just dumb.
MSTR.
But I guess the overarching
MSTR.
lesson there is don't vent to people you don't know, right? Really, it wasn't even like, it was kind of like a, yeah, just don't vent to people you don't know. I knew him, which is crazy. but
TPST.
still, people are weird.
MSTR.
So 31, top 3 help.
FFIE.
Top 3-ish.
EVGO. GME.
GME.
MSTR. MSTR.
What's up, everyone? All right, well, it's the end of the
MSTR.
week, Friday, and I'm finishing with a green day, which is good. But I gave back about half of my profit, of course. I did well
MSTR.
on RSP. I had a
Big
great
spread.
move. Daily breakout over 1833, all the way up to 23, nearly to 24. I was
MSTX.
up almost $55,000 on it. Took 3 losses in a row, and I'm walking
MSTR.
away at 29,000. 29,000 is still a fantastic
MSTR.
day. 2 years ago, it would have been in the top 4 biggest green days of my career. That is no longer the case because
EVVA.
of
TPST. GXO. Watch the spread. CRKN. TPST. YYAI. TPST.
IBIT.
FFIE.
MSTR.
FFIE. CRKN. Beta. FFIE.
MSTR. MSTX.
MSTR. Big spread. Duo.
MSTX,
TPST, TPST, MSTR, big spread.
MSTR, MSTR,
MSTR, big spread. FFIE,
MSTX, MSTR, MSTX, MSTR, MSTR, MSTR,
MSTR, big spread.
MSTR,
Duo,
CONL,
MSTR, big spread.
The incredible
Duo.
momentum and opportunity and volatility and everything else that we had in 2020, but
Duo,
MSTR,
in any case,
MSTR,
I am a little bummed that I gave back as
MSTR.
much as I
MSTR.
did, because this
CONL.
would have been the biggest green day that I've had
MSTR.
since
MSTR.
MSTR,
I guess, well, mid-April. So it's been, I don't know, it's been like 2-3 weeks since I had a green day of over 50,000. It's been over a month since I had a green day of over 100,000. And I was like, feeling like, okay, this could be the one. Of course, it made a big move earlier in the week. I didn't fully capitalize on it. So I think I kind of tried to overcompensate by being overly aggressive on it today. And that's why I ended up giving back like half my gains. So that's part of trading. But I'm finishing the day
FFIE.
green. I'm walking away now. I've shut down my monitors, so I'm not going to look at charts the rest of the day. I don't
FFIE.
care if it goes to $50.
FFIE,
It doesn't matter what it does without me, because I've got to walk
FFIE.
away green. If I keep giving back more and more and more, then I'm breaking my rules. And then I get angry, not just for losing money, but for breaking my rules. Then I get doubly angry.
MSTX, MSTX, Coin, CONL, Coin, TC, Coin, CONL,
FFIE,
Coin, CONL.
FFIE. TPST. FFIE. FFIE. FFIE.
Always. My results are not typical. I've been doing this for a long time. I encourage you as a beginner trader to trade in a simulator before you put real money on the line, because most beginner traders lose money. That's what happened to me when I got started. I jumped in with no knowledge, had no idea how the market worked, but I had money in my account and I started losing it. So do yourself a favor, trade in a simulator. All right, trading is a risk. With that said, I hope you guys really enjoy the recap today. Just breaking down my trades on RHE, big momentum, good to see, and even if I didn't finish
Coin.
as good a shape as I could have today, it's a great sign for momentum traders that we're getting this type of action. So I'm on my ninth consecutive green day, 5th green day of the month, and up not quite 100,000 on the month, but getting darn close, and that's great for 5 days of trading. So let's see what next week holds for us. All right, enjoy the recap, and we'll see you guys on Monday.
FFIE. GXO. Watch the spread. FFIE.
All right, so we're gonna do a recap here, finishing up 29,000, which is good, but I was up 52,000. So I gave back 23,000 off the top, 3 red trades in a row. So why don't we go from the last 3 red trades? I just lost 10,000 right there. I bought at 22.50 for the first 23.50 for the first 5-minute candle.
WHLR.
I was looking for the squeeze of 24
Big spread.
and lost 10.
GXO.
I lost
Watch
5
the spread.
grand on this false breakout right here, that candle, and I lost 5 grand on a dip trade right here where I stopped out down here. So through this area, I lost 20 grand. Through this area here, I got green at the open by about 15,000. This right here put me up 35 and up to 40,000. Then I gave back 5 grand.
WHLR.
These might have been 35 and up to 40,000. Through this area here, I got green at the open by about 15,000. This right here put me up 35 and up to 40,000. Then I gave back 5 grand on one of
FFIE.
these, might have been here or here. So I was up 34,000. Then this 5-minute breakout right here put me up 52,000. And then 3 losses in a row, up 29,000.
TPST.
So all's well that ends well. I'm green. I gave back about half off the top. I don't really see, I mean, I don't know. I guess this was the third pullback if you call this one here the first. First pullback, second pullback, and then the third pullback is usually a riskier spot.
TPST.
You know, at what
TPST.
point does that correct? We need it to correct. You know, like pandering to lenders and those other everybody else is just going to make the situation worse. We just can't have inflation spike again, and so that needs to be everybody's
GXO.
priority. The Fed,
Watch the spread.
traders, investors, that should be everybody's priority. Is we can't let inflation spike again. Better to have a good economy with some inflation than have a recession without inflation. I disagree.
GXO. Watch the spread.
I disagree.
TPST.
I mean, it's subjective, but I definitely disagree. I think it depends on what we're in right now, guys. So again, inflation has gone up cravy high amounts in the last
HalfMed, ticker
TPS.
PAVM, subsidiary Veris Health,
You know, the real reason
announces a
everybody's unhappy
$1.8
right now
million
is
grant from the
inflation.
NIH,
You know,
ticker
prices have gone up so much people
PAVM,
can't afford things anymore.
have
You know, it's trickled into rent. It's trickled into
Veris
everything.
Health
Prices are
subsidiary
too freaking
awarded
high.
a $1.8 million
And so
CAVM.
it's
grant
an
from the
election year, though,
NIH.
and so they have a lot of pressure to stimulate the economy. But the problem is payroll numbers showed that the economy might be heating up a little bit too much, and that scared a lot of people. And now people are wanting less rate cuts. For
Avenging
sure.
a pre-market update, S&P,
And so, yeah, we'll see
NASDAQ,
what
and
happens,
Dow
but the
down
number one goal
slightly.
should be inflation,
Oil
right?
up
Like
about
the
a
only time
percent.
prices actually correct.
US CPI
Again,
data
prices
to
go up,
come
they don't
out
go back
at
down. So once
8:30
inflation goes
a.m.
up, it's not like it's going to go back down like this, right? It's going to go up. The best we can do is slow it to where it only goes up like this instead. But again, you do not want inflation to spike again, guys. That's why most people are unhappy. Like, I hear this all the time, and you get people that are really, like, politically biased. But I hear it all the time, and it's kind of the same thing, right? I'll say, hey, guys, inflation's the big priority. Like, or I'll say, hey, guys, the economy might be a little bit too strong, and that's not good, right? And then for whatever reason, they get emotional because I say the economy might be too strong, and they say, nuh-uh, the economy's not too strong. Look at everybody, guys. Look at this.
NUWE.
Nobody can afford anything. And it's like, yeah, that's my point. Nobody can afford things. The economy's too strong. Like, you got to understand what I mean by that. When I say the economy's too strong, I mean too much spending is occurring, and that's causing problems. And inflation problems are the biggest problem in the market right now. And so, yeah. I would have been okay with no rate cuts. Even if we go into like a little mini recession, if it controls inflation longer term, then I'm okay with it, you know. And again, the real reason you see a lot of like lenders unhappy is because they had this big bull run in 2021 when interest rates were pushed down by the Fed. QE was happening. Everybody was spending money. 2021 was a massive year for lenders. You know, interest rates were so low. They did millions of dollars. A lot of them did millions of dollars in income. And then the check came, and inflation spiked up to 10%, and the Fed pivoted to higher rates. And then all that basically dwindled down to where a lot of them are getting much less business now than they were then. And so,
BITX.
you know, they are pushing everybody, oh, we need to cut rates, but it's going to be on the backs
GXO.
of everybody else who are paying
Watch the spread.
ridiculous inflation, you know, increases. So it's just something where you got to understand a thriving economy is not always good, especially if we have a period like we've had over the last 5 years. And this is something that I've been saying for a year straight now. A thriving economy is not always good. Like, we need to combat inflation first because it's not sustainable. $100,000 used to mean something. It's not anymore, right? If we continue at this pace very, very quickly, people who make 100K, 150K are going to be living paycheck to paycheck. And to a certain extent, they are now already. And so we can't handle more price increases. They've gone up so much already. NVIDIA just went green on the day. It's up to almost 133.
NVDA, TQQQ. NVDA. NVDA.
All right, chat. I'll catch you
AVGO.
back up with the chat. I trade futures mostly.
FFIE,
NVDA. TQQQ.
Yeah, the
NVDL.
used car market, crazy, right? You're spending 50K on a used Toyota Tacoma. At least you were for a while. And so, of course, guys, like, you got to understand the people pushing for lower rates.
NVDL.
Right? People pushing for
NVDA.
lower rates are lenders, people who
NVDL.
work in those markets, because it's a lot easier
NVDA.
to, sell stuff. But it's going to be on the backs of everybody else through price increases.
NVDA. NVDL.
Last month's CPI
FFIE.
was 2.5%
FFIE.
year over year, 0.3% month to month. And again, I think we're going to
FFIE.
AVGO.
0.2% month to month and 2.4%
TQQQ.
year to year. Straight up guess. I have no
TQQQ.
idea what's going to happen. But that's my guess. 150K paycheck to paycheck. Exactly, right? He said, where I live, that's a rich man's salary. That is
AVGO.
precisely my point, brother. That is exactly my point. Which is that,
AVGO.
like, you might feel left behind already.
AMZN.
Right. Look at Amazon spike here, guys. Amazon spiking. You might already feel left behind already. Imagine how it will feel to know that 150K is average. I'm
AMZN.
here to tell you, if we do not control inflation over the next few years, that is where we're going to head much
TPST.
sooner than we otherwise would. Right? Eventually, inflation increases, like, regardless. But if we cannot control it over the next 5 years,
Mu.
that's going to be the picture very, very quickly. Where 150K doesn't mean anything anymore.
TPST.
Right? And then it's going to get to 200K, right? Like, that should scare a lot of people. It's important for people to understand.
TZA.
Like, pandering to lenders so that they can have low interest rates, so they can sell mortgages and bank loans to everybody is not the move right now.
CRKN.
Now, to be fair, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm being honest. But as well as, like, to be fair, the reason we had such massive inflation spikes following 2020 was not purely the low interest rate environment that we've seen, or that we saw, right? The reason we had inflation spikes in that way was because of supply chain problems. We also had quantitative easing, which is the Fed creating bank reserves. It's a form of money printing. The Fed creates bank reserves and then uses those bank reserves to buy up bonds and other financial assets. And what this does is it injects liquidity
TPST.
into those markets, and ultimately interest rates go down from it. Right, but as well as, so that's definitely something that caused inflation, as well as, again,
TPST.
the supply chain problems that we saw
YYAI.
post 2020. Right now, the Fed, and something that the Fed did correct here yesterday in the Fed minutes report, the
YYAI.
FOMC minutes report came out. It's a breakdown of the last Fed
TPST.
decision, which was the 50 basis point cut. One of the things they did say is that
YYAI.
they're not planning on ending QT anytime soon. And so if quantitative easing is one end of the spectrum in regards to balance sheet and money printing, right? Quantitative easing is money printing through creating bank reserves, using those to buy up bonds and other financial assets, injecting liquidity into the bond market and allowing interest rates to go down. The other side of the spectrum there is called quantitative tightening. One is easing, one is tightening. It's a restrictive thing. It basically means that the Federal Reserve does not inject liquidity into those markets at all. They restrict their liquidity, if that makes sense. And instead, they reduce their balance sheet over time by letting their current bond holdings mature and expire and run off their balance sheet, right? And so what this does is basically takes liquidity away from those markets, and interest rates go up when the Fed does this, right? Or at least it adds pressure for interest rates to go up by the Fed. There's less liquidity, right? The Fed is going to continue to do that even if they cut rates. And that's something that the FOMC minutes report yesterday showed us, is that that's what the Fed's probably going to do regardless. And that's good. I think that should ultimately help inflation while also simultaneously allowing us to cut interest rates and bring interest rates down a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, so it's 8:30 Eastern time. Yeah, if you spam buy gold or sell gold, I'm going to put you in timeout. All right. So if you spam that,
KWEB.
This is how the
KWEB.
monetary system works. It needs inflation to run. Well, it does, but again, it's not always like, listen, guys. Having a thriving economy would be great. And if the Federal Reserve wanted to do that, they could certainly do that. Right? But there's consequences for that happening. Like, there's consequences. If I sell bubble gum for 25 cents each, and I have 100 pieces, and I put it out there, and by noon every day, I'm sold out. right? What am I going to do? I'm going to raise the price of bubblegum. I'm going to pump that up to 40 cents a piece. You know, if I sell out of that, every day I'm going to raise the price of that and bump it up to 50 cents.
TPST.
Right?
AMCN.
Cycle of inflation.
API.
And so you got to understand, like thriving economies
RTX,
are
Raytheon awarded
not always the time.
$736 million
And we've had
contract
big
to
inflation
produce
cycles.
Nova.
AIM 9X missiles. That's Romeo Tango X-ray.
Thriving so that we can catch up with prices.
CWEB.
Because if not, prices are gonna
Big
go
spread.
up and up and up and up, and pretty soon everybody's gonna be
ACHV
really
Achieve Life Sciences announcing completion of
It's
enrollment in
important
ORCA
to
OL
Amazon's
clinical
spiking up
trial.
right now.
Successful outcome of first data safety
Super
monitoring
busy news.
committee.
Delta Airlines says
No
they are
safety
expecting
concerns. Alpha Charlie Hotel Victor. MOVE Movana Health provides update on FDA review of Evimed Ring. Michael Oscar Victor Echo.
WHLR.
EAST
Big spread.
Eastside Drilling closes its merger with
QQQ.
Beeline Financial Holdings. That's Echo
STLA.
Alpha Sandy Tango.
BHP.
PLMR Mechanic Group announcing partnership with Palomar for best-in-class security alarm and investigator program. Papa Lima Michael Romeo.
TPST.
TLRY.
AXIL Axo Brands reports a loss of 2
TPST.
cents.
TPST.
BYU.
Alpha X-ray
TPST.
India Lima.
TPST.
IBIO, iBio, and AstroBio provide update on myostatin program for obesity. iBio plans non-CGMP in vivo studies with early 2025 readouts. Aims to file IND applications for myostatin program by the end of 2025. That's India Bravo, India Oscar. BNGO, Bionano Genomics, announcing preliminary results, expects revenue for Q3 to be between $6.5 and $6.8 million. That's BNGO.
BBVA.
TPST.
Eric. Mu.
TPST. TPST.
Mu. Mu. Mu.
reimbursement rate 19%. Look at Nvidia spike though, guys. Nvidia up to 133s.
TOYO, Toyo naming a new president,
NVDL.
Simon Shi.
NVDL. AMZN. NVDL. NVDL. NVDA. Mu.
All right, guys. 25 minutes left. We got 1,200 people here
NVDA.
live. I'm gonna put it in sub only mode if I haven't. If you haven't already subscribed, this might
NVDL.
get rid of the gold spammer.
OMEX. NVDA.
It's a huge report today, guys. Just be ready.
PRPL. NVDL. NVDA.
Yeah, we're getting it ready. Also, guys, if you haven't already, check out TopStep. TopStep funded account program in futures. If you want to day trade, right, you get
NVDL.
exposure to day trading. In futures, there's no
NVDL.
PDT rule. You can day trade, short, buy market, buy bid, sell the
DB.
asset.
AKBA,
No PDT rule
Akebia
in
Therapeutics, announcing
And on top of
CMS
that,
grants
it's literally the biggest edge in
TDAPA
funding
reimbursement
right
for
now. They give you a
VAFCO
demo. They
beginning
test your
January
skill
1st,
within a demo account
2025.
first. If you pass the
That's
test with
Alpha
the
Kilo
demo,
Bravo
NVDL.
Alpha.
they fund you
TSLY.
with a regular account. The base one is 50K. This gives you deep exposure to trading with less risk. Right, so Top Step, they give you a demo, they test your skill with it. If you pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, you only
HOLO.
lose what you pay for it. And in the futures market, I can day trade the NASDAQ, the S&P, the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies. A lot of Forex traders should be trading futures as well. Most pro day traders trade futures, no PDT restrictions. I can day trade, buy market, sell market. And again, these funded account programs are allowed where most day traders lose. If you put up 1, 2, 3 grand yourself, you're probably going to lose, right? That whole amount. Instead of doing that, try a funded account program. If you
HOLO.
lose, the base one's $49 on Top Step. It's not the end of the world. If you pass it, you get a 50K funded account with a 90%
GXO.
split. So 90% is similar to funding yourself, really. But the risk is so much less. And the biggest edge in funding right now is on
GXO.
Top Step because there's
Big
zero
spread.
commissions. Look at the commissions. 0. 74 cents in fees per micro trade if I'm trading micros. That's the
GXO.
best edge in funding. Some of the best rules in the game in funding as well. And so, again, they are a sponsor of mine. They pay me money. I'm biased for sure. But if you want to check it out, great way to help support your boy here in this channel. I'll put the link up right here. Understand CFTC 4.41. Hypothetical or simulated performance have limitations. I do trade off stream. You're not going to see my trades. I'm one of the top 3 worst traders ever. All time ever in the world, guys. Don't copy me. Yeah, again, if you spam, if you're spam, give me a saying. If you spam, get banned. I think that's the saying. We have 2 other things slowing the economy down. Well, the port strikes are done. Right? The port strikes are over.
Ciao.
What's up, fam?
TPST.
Don't do it. You guys, don't do it. Alright, guys. Alright.
CMNT. CMNT.
TPST.
NVDA.
CMND.
CMNT. NVDL.
TPST. EBGO.
AKBA. CMNT. CMNT.
CMND. CMND.
CMNT.
CMND.
Coming up at 8:30, the Consumer Price Index for September, month over month, plus 0.2% expected, year over year, plus 3.2%.
CMND.
That's the core CPI. The
CMND.
CPI month over month, plus 0.1%, year over year, plus 2.3%. Also, jobless claims coming up at 8:30.
AKBA.
All right, guys. Sorry. Kids in here. Love y'all. Hey, do good on your test. Hey, study when you get to school, bro. Study. Study. Love you, buddy.
AKBA.
Love you, buddy. Thank you, man.
CMNT.
Sweet
CMND.
kid.
CMNT. CMNT.
All right, guys. Where's the show located? I mean, on YouTube right now. All right, so we got a poll going live here, chat. 45.8% of people on X think higher. 54.2% think lower. Lower would be better, just to put it into perspective, right? So lower would be lower inflation, better inflationary.
BYU.
Would be lower, right? Now, I'm not saying we get that. I don't know. But I'm guessing we're going to come in slightly higher. It's just my guess based off of payroll data alone. I might be wrong, and it's very random. I mean, we've gotten the last 5 right somehow. But again, I think there's a lot of luck in there.
CMND.
I'm not going to say it's pure luck, but I've gotten the last 4 or 5 CPI reports right. I think it's like the last 4 or 5, right? Again, I know eventually I'm going to get one wrong, though. And so you can't put everything on my CPI report. Oh, we also have jobless claims today. I completely forgot about jobless claims today, guys. We have jobless claims unemployment filings today, too. So that'll be an interesting report as well. I mean, CPI is
CMND.
more important. But jobless claims isn't chopped liver. You know, jobless claims
CMND.
expected at 231K. Last time it was 225,000
NBS.
expected. So, you know, also Amazon is going to deploy an AI package retrieval tech on 1,000 EV vans. The vapor assist drivers in locating the correct packages for delivery using visual and audio clues. Maybe that news is helping them. I'm not sure. But yeah. Probably higher. Yeah, I'm going to go with, again, slightly higher. You're right. I used to be more aware about the overall market effect instead of
CMND.
why must I choose? Is this real life? What's real life? Yeah, the robo-taxi event might be big.
CMND.
You look 30?
CMND.
Oh, thank you, sir. I'm over 30, so I appreciate it. I'm not sure if that was meant in a positive or negative light. But, hey, I'm over 30. So, hey, thanks so much. Wondering even with the same lower CPI the markets want the news to be
IAG.
bad, so can force Fed perhaps have a higher rate cut. So I think, Sai, I think you got it mixed up, though, brother. So,
YINN. TLRY.
or maybe not. Let me see. So understand this, guys. So, again, we have CPI inflation data today. If you want more rate cuts, right? If you're pushing for higher rate cuts, you would want, in that regard, lower inflation data, right? Because the risk, if not, you got to think about it like this. The Federal Reserve, if they had no consequence for their rate decisions, right, they would always maintain a low interest rate environment. It benefits everybody. It stimulates the economy. People buy more homes. Rent prices go down generally. The real estate market heats up. Lenders are happy. People have more money to spend. They got cheaper access to leverage and loans and stuff like that. And so in that regard, lower interest rates going to be better if there was no consequence. But there is a consequence, right?
CMND.
So if inflation, as an example, is spiking up a lot, then the Federal Reserve is going to be a lot more apprehensive over rate cuts than they otherwise would be. And so if we have an inflation
CMND.
problem, the Federal Reserve is not going to cut rates like that.
NVS.
Why? Because cutting rates is going to make inflation worse,
CMND.
not better. Cutting rates aggressively is going to make rates worse, or is going to make inflation worse, not better. And so today's CPI inflation report in that regard is incredibly important because payroll numbers already showed up way higher than expected on Friday. Friday's payroll report
CMND.
was massively higher than expected. Massively higher than expected. And so with such a
CMND.
high payroll number,
CMND.
showed up at 254,000 payrolls on Friday. The expected number was only 145K. With that number being massively higher than expected, a lot of people are looking at the
CMND.
CPI report today
CMND.
as a guide on whether we should fear inflation now.
AMZN.
You know, and if we do start fearing inflation, you're going to see something in
CMND.
that regard in which higher payroll numbers causes a negative reaction in markets. That's what we saw post 2020 when inflation spiked up to 10%. CPI inflation was 10%. Everybody freaked out. Anything that signaled more working, more spending was bad. Like an example, lower unemployment would cause negative market reactions. And so it was that deep where people feared inflation that much following 2021 in the low interest rate, quantitative easing, stimulus check environment of 2021, 2022. So again, that's the big picture today is what does inflation look like now with the payroll numbers that we saw on Friday? Is inflation a fear? It should be. But today we'll give a deeper story into that. Like we'll get a deeper look into whether we should be fearing inflation with today's CPI report. And again, it drops at 8:30 in about 15 minutes. 14
MSTR.
minutes, and it
Big
is
spread.
expected at 2.3% year over year and 0.1% month to month. Again, I'm gonna guess it shows up at 2.4%
MSTR.
year to year and
Big spread.
2% month to month. Right, but that's just a guess, straight up guess. I have no freaking idea. Yeah, I'm not sure AP. I really don't know what they're going to do there. Yeah, all good. One of the worst teams in baseball all year is suddenly the hottest. Which one? I haven't been watching baseball. Which team is that in NASCAR? Yeah, for sure, Frost. Tesla seems like a buy the rumor, sell the news event. Yeah, and that's
FFIE.
generally how Tesla behaves. Tesla behaves in a buy the rumor, sell the news event.
CRKN.
Caffeine? I mean, I like caffeine. I have ADHD though. And so I
CRKN.
always get really hyper really, really quickly. Don't judge me, you know. All right, guys.
BP.
The Tigers? Really?
Riot.
It's been a while since they're doing that good. Hey. Yeah, they've been doing QT since I think 2022.
TPST.
Right? So
Riot.
once we had inflation spiked
AFRM.
up to 10%, right? Like once inflation got to such an unsustainable level, over 10%.
TPST.
Or
TPST.
close to 10% for CPI. The Fed pivoted to raising rates.
ADTX.
You know, that's why, like, you see a lot of people try to cover economic data that really don't understand it. You know, you get there, they're calling rate hikes. Some people are betting on rate hikes. Like, you know, you got a lot of people that just don't understand what a rate hike actually is. A rate hike is raising rates. And so following 2021, when inflation spiked, what was the Fed's decision logic? They were like,
Right.
FSLR
okay,
for
inflation
solar,
spiked, now how do we control
hearing
it? Let's raise interest rates.
a
By
note from
raising
Jeffries
interest
now
rates,
being
people have
circulated
less
saying
access to leverage
companies
and
going to
loans
guide
and
down to
lending,
delays
so
and
they
missed
stop spending
numbers.
as much. And so prices go down.
That's
supply and demand
FSLR.
of businesses lower prices because of it. And so the Fed's been doing quantitative tightening for a few years now. And again, something that they said in the FOMC minutes report is that they're not ending that. They're continuing to do that. And so that's kind of a more balanced
AFRM.
approach by the Fed, where they're cutting rates in some ways, but they're also continuing to do a tightening cycle. So we'll see.
TPST.
AFRM.
Yeah, I mean, if CPI is low and payroll numbers
TPST.
are high, that's a pretty good thing, right? That signals a good economy, but also low inflation. You know, and so part of me also thinks we might get that, but I'm gonna just go with balance.
CMND.
and slightly higher inflation data than expected, but I don't know. Again, I could be wrong. What's financial advice? I don't even know what financial advice is, dude. I don't even know what a stock is. What is a stock? Is Shohei back yet? Isn't lowering rates QE though? Well, QE contributes to lower rates, but it's not
Open.
the same thing. So QE, again, quantitative easing, is a form of money
FFIE.
printing in which the Federal Reserve will basically create bank reserves online. Again, it's creating money. They're creating bank reserves online, and then they take those bank reserves and they use it to buy up a bunch of bonds, treasury bonds, and inject liquidity into those markets, right? What this allows banks to do is keep interest rates low for consumers because, like, the prices of bonds have fluctuated because of that injected liquidity into those markets. That's what quantitative easing is. It's not the same thing as rate cuts, but they're both what's called dovish decisions by the Fed, right? Dovish means a low interest rate pushing Fed. Hawkish means a high interest rate pushing Fed. One that wants a restrictive economy. Like the Fed turns restrictive whenever they want interest rates to go down, or whenever they want inflation to go down. I'm sorry.
Duo.
And if you want inflation to go down, like logically, right? How do you do it? You put interest rates really high. People can't afford as much stuff now, so they stop spending. And when people stop spending, businesses say, hey, nobody's buying our stuff. Let's lower prices to compensate for it, right? And that's the cycle of it in a nutshell, I guess. But yeah, we got 10 minutes, guys, 10 minutes. We got 2,000 people watching.
Duo. TPST.
AFRM.
We got 10 minutes, chat, 10 minutes. Again, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Bro, did you really spam buy gold again, dude? Here, just ban him for good. He's just a bot.
IPA.
Yeah, we're going to post CPI data on the screen for sure. It's going to be completely live like it always is. All right, guys, 9 minutes. 9 minutes before CPI inflation data drops, chat.
CMND. CMND.
It can happen year over year, 2.3% month to month, and 0% it can happen today. Yeah, it certainly could. Top 3 most economically educational channels of all time. Definitely top 3-ish. The rates are not only a tool to combat inflation, it's also a tool to monitor unemployment. So the Fed has 2 goals: not only inflation and unemployment is more important than inflation. Well, yeah, the Fed always takes the same
CMND.
approach. Our end goal is to have a 2% inflation goal over time and a thriving labor market,
CMND.
right? Basically, they
SCIG.
want a good economy and good inflation data, right? They want Goldilocks complex is what it is. All right, chat. 8 minutes. 8 minutes.
Here's a
IPA.
simple trading strategy where you trade the same asset every day at the same time. You can use it to achieve trading success.
All right, guys. Well, this is a hard recap to do. I've been on a kind of roller coaster the last couple weeks. You know, some big green days. You know, and I was joking about it last Friday. Because I had such a huge green day last Friday. I doubled my account from $1,200 up to $2,400 in one day, which was awesome. And I think I was really eager to just quickly grow this account, to just blow this small account challenge totally out of the water, using that measuring stick. The last time I did a small account challenge, when I took $583 and turned it into 100 grand in 45 days, and I started thinking, well, can I do it this time even faster? Now, yesterday I missed a huge momentum stock. MNPR, the stock IPOs at like $6, rips up to 8 to 10 to 12, 15, 18, 20, 22, 24, 25, 26, 27, $28 a share. Absolutely crazy. I saw a bunch of people. It was at like $6, rips up to 8 to 10 to 12, 15, 18, 20, 22, 24, 25, 26, 27,
FFIE.
$28 a share.
AFRM.
Absolutely crazy. I saw a bunch of people made money on it, but I didn't trade it.
TPST.
Well, what happened yesterday was I had a great day,
INMD
but
in
then I
mode
gave back
with
some
some
profit.
guidance.
When I
Said
started giving
expects Q3 revenue between 130 and 130.1 million dollars. Full year revenue 410 to 420 million. That's in India, November, Michael, Delta, INMD.
IPA. 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 IPA.
TPST.
back profit, I have to walk away. Regardless of what opportunities may lie ahead, I have to walk away because that's one of my rules. But then what that sometimes does is it turns into FOMO that kind of carries over into the next day. And so today, I saw MNPR, gapping up a little bit, kind of sideways. Break a 28, continuation. Yesterday's high, what happens? It breaks 28. It goes to 30, 32. It gets halted. It then resumes high from the halt.
Benzinga market update ahead of
36,
the
37,
CPI
38
data.
FFIE.
S&P futures down 5.25, Dow futures down 28,
Audience,
Nasdaq down
specific streams
23,
pretty
crude
good,
is up
I think. No?
90
Yeah, I
cents
mean, we
at
could try to make 2,000 or 3,000
$74.14.
viewers seem like chop liver, but you
Natural
you're
gas
just
down
trying to
6
make
cents at
people
$2.60.
and that's okay. Listen, let it
Gold
out,
is
man.
up
Wolf.
It's all
$4.80
right. It'll be
at
okay.
26.30.80.
Hey,
Bitcoin
thank you
futures
so
up
much, Dan. Yeah, y'all hit that sub button, hit the notification bell. I appreciate it.
355.
What will happen if it comes in higher or lower? Well, higher signals more inflation problems. So higher is bad in that regard. Lower is better. Lower means lower inflation. That's better for everybody. Now, the Federal Reserve uses what's called PCE data.
Wolf.
So the Fed will use
SINT.
what's called PCE, the Personal Consumption Expenditure Index. That is what the Fed uses to gauge inflation. And again, we'll see. Ban button has to work overtime. Yeah. You're ranked in my top 5. Anytime I want to watch a trading channel, your SEO is great. Hey, thank you, Ali. I appreciate it, brother. Thanks so much. We try. We try over here.
Wolf.
We got to trend set the market. Like, we posted a back testing video before anybody else did. If you look at the first back testing video posted where we back test strategies, we posted the first one like 5 years ago. Now you got all kind of other channels posting them. We also started covering these, and now everybody does, which is good. I mean, listen, we trend set. That's okay. Top 3 ever in the world. Hey, thanks so much for the donation ad. We got 2 minutes, chat. 2 minutes. We got about 3,000 viewers here live. We appreciate the love. Thanks so much. What do we think about Nas? He had some good songs in the 90s. No, I'm just joking. You're talking about Natty Gas. I don't really trade Natty Gas. It's not something I like to trade. Thanks so much for the donation, Ed.
Coming up in 3 minutes at 8:30,
Again,
the
straight up
Consumer
guess.
Price
Straight up
Index for
speculation. I'm gonna
September,
go
month
with-
over month, plus 0.1%,
I'm
year
gonna
over
go
year, plus
with
2.3%. The core CPI plus 3.2% expected year over year, plus 0.2% month over month. Jobless claims, initial
guys, here we go. We
claims
got a minute and a half
231,000, expected continuing claims 1.83 million. That's coming up at 8:30 Eastern Time.
All right, here we go. A minute and a half left.
Wolf. TPST.
Hey, thanks, Lorenzo. It's going to be brutal. I don't think anybody knows. It might be good. It might be bad. The real question is, again, payroll
TPST.
data showed up last week, right? This showed up a much stronger economy than a lot of people expected.
CMND.
The nuance of today's report is, what does inflation look like with that in
FVTI.
mind? Right? What does inflation
Note.
data look like with that in mind? We got 1 minute left. We got about 3,400 people here live. Y'all hit the sub button, hit the notification bell. Again, I've gotten the last 4 or 5 CPI reports right. I don't know, man. I just don't know if I'm going to get this one right. I don't know. I don't think so do not copy me. Again, I'm going to go with 0.2%, 2.4% month to month, or 2.4% year to year and 0.2% month to month. Straight up guess, though. And that's just based off of payroll data. All right, guys. So, again, CPIs today. CPIs right now. Let's see what we get. Massive report.
CMND.
All right, here we go. This timer's a little bit early, guys. It's a little bit early. 15 seconds. Here we go, guys. 5 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up. It's dropping right
CONL.
now.
FFIE.
CPI showed up at 0.3%
FFIE.
for core. Regular CPI 2.4%, 0.2% month to month. Oh my gosh, bro. This is like my 6th in a row that I got exactly right again. How do I keep doing this, dude? It's freaking weird. It's freaking me out. 2.4% month year over year, 0.2% month to month. Bro, this is like my 6th CPI report I have predicted exactly freaking correctly. It's starting to freak me out. How? Bro, I'm sorry for yelling in the mic. I'm kind of genuinely freaked out. The market's actually reacting negatively to this. There's Tesla, there's Amazon. I'm going to put the S&P 500 to the SPY up. I'm sorry, guys, for yelling. It's just freaking weird. It's weird. Dude, jobless claims showed up higher than expected as well. So higher jobless claims, higher inflation data.
1 minute to the CPI and jobless claims.
It's the organic Fruity Pebbles, bro. Dude, I don't know how I've gotten this right 6 times in a row. It's freaking weird, man. This is bad. This is higher inflation. It's higher inflation data than expected.
TSLL.
It's not good inflation data. It's higher inflation data than expected. I'm kind of
TSLL.
freaked out, man. It's very strange. It's very strange. This is my 6th CPI report in a row I've gotten correctly. You can look back at my streams that I leave up live. Again, today we got 2.4% year over year, 0.2%.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make
I
sure.
told you guys this is what I thought. And just very strange.
Wolf.
KZR. TPM. KZR.
CPI for September
TZA.
plus 0.2%. Consensus was plus 0.1%. The core CPI month over month plus 0.3%. Consensus plus 0.2%.
NVS.
Year over year, the
LABD.
CPI
That's what I said.
2.4% versus 2.3% expected.
TLT.
The core CPI year over year 3.3% versus
SOXS.
3.2% expected.
KZR.
Initial claims 258,000 above the 231,000 estimate. Continuing
KZR.
claims
I don't know how I keep doing it,
1.861 million
It's strange. It
above
really is
the
genuinely weird to me.
1.83 million estimate. S&P futures
But with that
TZA.
said, guys, I appreciate
volatile
the love.
after
Listen,
the data
if you
release.
wanna,
Now pulling
help
back
support
here.
your boy here, who keeps getting
S&P
the CPI
futures
reports
now
right,
down about
LABD.
15,
check
58.26.50.
out TopStep funded account program and futures. They give you a demo. They test your skill.
LABD.
If you pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, you only lose what you pay for it. I'm probably gonna start day trading this in my funded account here. I'm gonna
TZA.
short this a little bit. We're gonna take 3 contracts, 2 contracts. This is a funded account program in futures. I'm gonna cut out right there. So we just
SPCB.
SPCB
CDNA.
Supercom with Prime Partner Electra awarded new 5-year National
UBIX.
Electric Monitoring contract with Israel Prison Service Agency. That's Sandy
SPCB.
Papa, Charlie Bravo,
SPCB.
SPCB.
Max.
TZA.
Shares
Duo.
popping on that news. Sandy Papa, Charlie Bravo. PMNT,
CRKN.
Perfect Moment, expands
Oh.
U.S. launch resale program to UK, France, Italy, and Germany. That's
BP.
EWZ.
Papa Michael November Tango, PMNT.
O. DDD.
SLV.
Gold.
CRKN. 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 CRKN.
KZR confirms receipt of unsolicited non-binding
CDNA.
acquisition proposal at $1.10 per
CRKN.
share. The company will evaluate the proposal. That is Kilo Zulu Romeo, KZR.
BP. O.
PALI, Palisade Bio, cleared by Health Canada to
CRKN.
commence phase 1 clinical study for lead program PALI 2108 to treat ulcerative colitis. That is Papa Alpha Lima, India. YY Group regains NASDAQ compliance. That's Yankee Golf Hotel.
Gold.
EDBL, Edible Garden, regains compliance with NASDAQ listing requirement. Echo Delta Bravo Lima, EDBL.
AMZN. AMZN, 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 AMZN,
IVDA, IVITA,
AMZN,
announcing
AMZN.
partnerships with major cities across the Philippines and Asia. That is India Victor Delta Alpha.
SPXS. TZA.
CNTM, Connect Them, announcing
TZA.
acquisition of Green Energy Gains, Charlie November Tango Michael, CNTM.
NVDQ. CRKN. 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 CRKN.
Each day, the board-certified surgeons of Adams Health are prepared to perform a range of procedures. Each day, they apply their knowledge and expertise to help deliver better outcomes for every patient. And each day, when needed, they perform robot-assisted surgery.
FFIE. SOXS. TPST.
CADL,
CMND. CMND.
LYG,
CMND.
The stock hit a high of $48 a share. So what do? I bought 300 shares. I bought 300 shares of the stock, and you know what happened? I doubled my account. I doubled my account again. Wild Card Friday. 2
PLNT.
Fridays in a row. Let's make it official. You guys can see it right there. I came into this morning with $3,730, and I'm
TPST.
up $3,651.26. Not to mention I made $9 grand right here in my big account. That was my big account. And over here you can see these are the trades on MMPR,
FNGD.
a couple other SYRS and CBIO. Green on the 3 stocks I traded, and locking up another big day. I mean, this is kind of bonkers. From $500, this is day 11. In 11 days, I've turned $500 into over $7 grand. $7,000.
FNGD.
Now here's the thing. As my account is growing, my buying power is growing as well. So of course I can start taking larger positions. And the only difference between making 100 a day, which was what my first 4 or 5 days of the challenge were like, and making 300, 400, or even maybe 1,000 a day, is increasing share size. but your share size is going to be limited by your buying power. So during those first few days, you don't have a lot of buying power, but as it increases, you can start buying more shares and you can start scaling up your strategy. And so now I'm really picking up the pace. The account is growing really quickly and it's pretty exciting.
SOXS.
But you know what? Some of you guys who have watched me here in the last 11 days of trading grow this account and do this pretty crazy thing. I bet some of you are inspired. I bet some of you guys have been sitting on the sidelines feeling like, oh man, I sort of missed the small account challenge. I've got great news for you. I'm starting over next month. I'm going to start over next month.
FFIE.
So if you want to trade
3. That's the number
CRKN.
of traders we have in our firm, S&B Capital, that have each.
SOXS.
How did you do that in the 90s with your 486 computer? I mean, phones. Okay,
everything was on phones. Like you'd have a big phone with 20 speed dials.
Yep.
And then see in the old days,
SOXS.
like, if I wanted to wipe out 6 bids, I'd take 2 phones. My partner would take 2 phones, and the guy on the other side of me would take 2 phones, and we'd go 1, 2, 3,
SOXS.
ready, and we'd all hit 6 market makers instantaneously to wipe out their bids.
CRKN.
Right?
SOXS.
Or to lift their offers to clean out their inventory.
SOXS.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Steady Trade podcast. Today is going to be an interesting one, I promise. We have JJ
SOXS.
Gorilla. That is his kind of pseudonym for the world. And you'll see that he actually has an avatar up because he isn't able to show his face. And he's going to explain a little bit about that. But I'm going to just tell you, I just got to meet JJ about 2 or 3 months ago, I think, right, JJ? On the Ray from Confessions of a Market Maker is a co-host with JJ, and so we got to meet them. He has a fascinating story, and one of the things that I hear all the time, Tim Bowen and Stephen talk about is the concept of how there is this they that you're up against as a day trader, and one of the things I learned from JJ getting to know him is that he used to be one of the theys, and I thought, oh, this is great. We can kind of learn from the other side what a lot of day traders are up against. So JJ is a former nightclub bouncer, believe it or not. And it was in the nightclubs where he met traders and deal makers. And that's how he got in the industry. He, saw them spending lots of cash and was like, hey, what are they up to? And so he basically worked in Vancouver as a market maker, and he manipulated penny stocks deals that retail traders love to trade. He's been at it for 20 years, and he has had, lots of ups, but he's also had some downs, which he'll talk about. He did have some partners that stole from him. But after having a heart attack in the 40s, where he technically died, actually, which has got to be an interesting story. Can't wait to hear that, JJ. He decided to leave the industry in that context. And now he actually helps retail traders by educating them on the very tricks he used to pull on them and how to watch out for them. And now, of course, he's a co-host of Confessions of a Market Maker podcast, and he's also a training educator for Micro Futures. So welcome, JJ, to our podcast.
TSLL.
Thank you so much, Kim. It's an honor to be here. Mahalo.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And JJ's got some Hawaiian in him, so
okay.
We're very fortunate to be able to share some of the love of Hawaii. So JJ, that's not really your full bio. It's the short, cliff note version. So please just give us a little bit of background on why you have to have an avatar.
Well, oddly enough, I'm one of the guys that nobody really hears about in the market. I'm sort of the guy who helps people get things done and to make large amounts of money. And so what my job was to help create liquidity to sell vast amounts of cheap stock into by promoters, deal people who did convertible debentures, I started off in advertising, and I was working as a bouncer because I had 4 years in microbiology, and there was no way I was going to get into med school. So I was working as a bouncer in Vancouver. A bunch of the traders used to come in because next door there was a strip club, and when that place closed, the girls would come and dance at my
CMND.
nightclub, and so of course traders, they're like they follow. And one of them gave me a book called Liar's Poker by Michael Lewis, and I was hooked. And I was completely hooked. But then I didn't know anything about the market. So what I did was I read Market Wizards.
Now, JJ, sorry, I'm the king of interruption.
Yeah.
Do you mind just giving me timeline?
SQQQ.
Because again, like, just kind of, I'm curious, like, when this was happening.
This was 1990. Yeah.
Fair enough. Thanks.
When I was a doorman, it was a nightclub called the Love Affair in Vancouver. It was a
CRKN.
It was like one of those dark holes with music so loud that you had to wear earplugs.
CRKN.
The floors would vibrate because it was so loud.
Oh my God.
They played like Nine Inch Nails and Ministry and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
I have Ministry. I forgot about them.
CRKN.
So I'd be at the front of the
Ministry do Jesus Built My Hot Rod?
I think so.
CRKN.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Right.
Guys, you guys are talking about a different era. I'm not sure what's going on here.
PFE Pfizer Starboard Value, which is a
I'm
letter to
lost in the
Pfizer's board of
conversation. I'm sorry,
directors.
I'm late.
That's
The link didn't
Papa
work, and then he
Trideco.
talked about things I don't even know.
As Pfizer board committee
CRKN.
establish a special committee of board members.
So one of the traders gave me this
LBI.
book. I read it. I was hooked. Then I read Market Wizards by Jack Schwager, who was on our podcast just last night. And Linda Bradford Ratchke said how she got a job in the market was she got a job next to the exchange so she could meet people. So I said, works for her, works for me. I went and got a government job, hung out at a coffee shop where the stock promoters would go until one of them finally noticed me reading the Wall Street Journal, came up to me and offered me a job as a phone chimp. And a phone chimp is the person
Starboard
who calls,
says approach
leads
Pfizer's
and
woman.
asks them if they want information. Then a closer calls and gets them to buy a position. So I used to work for the government, worked at these guys at night. And this little guy who hired me was a little East Indian guy. I'm East Indian. Oh, I'm Sri Lankan, but I'm like 6'1", 270.
That's Delta Papa
this
Zulu.
little guy was about 5'2". Used to wear black suits with cowboy
Shares of
boots, drove a
Domino's
black
now,
Rolls,
Optalos
and his assistant was
at
the 6'1"
41101
blonde from the Netherlands.
TPZ.
They look like Boris and Natasha from right?
Totally.
And so he taught me the business a little bit, and then he got me my job working for the company that made the leads, and that's where I got introduced to about.
What if there was a way to know if a stock will be bullish or bearish the day before? The truth is,
300 public companies, promoters, deal people, guys who ran hedge funds, all the people who used to work at Jordan Belfort's firm who now were stock promoters.
Gold.
All of those people were my clients. And so when I showed up to a brokerage house, which I got the job because one of my buddies was dating the head trader of the brokerage firm, I weaseled my way in, right? Because I applied to all the brokerage firms in Vancouver, and I got a PFO letter from every single one of them, which is a please F off. And, so I had to weasel my way in just by doing favors,
FFIE.
stuff like that. And then one day this guy, Dominic, called me up and he said, hey, JJ, do you want a job? There's an opening on the desk. And I showed up to the firm with 300 clients already who did nothing but liquidate stock at 3.5% commission. So I was hired on the spot, and I didn't even know how to trade. Didn't know a single, I was a salesman.
Because at that point you're basically just a telemarketer, right?
Right. Yeah. I was just doing that and, working. What I was doing, we were doing direct mail. So I learned about how to bring liquidity into markets. This was before email. And in fact, the very first email stock tout was a client of mine. The guy who did the very first email stock blast back in 1997, 96, 97. So that's why I was obsessed with liquidity, building it. So I went to work on the trade desk, and I was in the top 10 within the first 2 months because my commissions were, first month I made 10 grand, 65 grand the second month, and then 200 grand like clockwork every month after that. Because I'm charging 3 to 5%. We also had 13-day settlement in Vancouver. So what you do is you open 50 brokerage accounts, wash trade between them to create the illusion of activity. Then retail jumps in and you slam them.
So can I get that, but a lot of newer
SOXS.
traders
Yeah.
are on this podcast. Explain, get into the
Day settlement in Vancouver. So what you do is you open 50 brokerage accounts, wash trade between them to create the illusion of activity. Then retail jumps in
CRKN.
and you slam them.
So can I get that, but a lot of newer
And 65 grand the second month, and then 200 grand like clockwork every month after that. Because I'm charging 3 to 5%. We also had 13-day settlement in Vancouver. So what you do is you open 50 brokerage accounts, wash trade between them to create the illusion of activity. Then retail jumps in and
Crude popping
slam
here
them.
to the highs.
So can
President
I
Biden
get that, but a lot of newer traders are on this podcast. Explain, get into the mechanics of that a little bit more. I mean, because you're basically creating fake volume in essence to make it show up on people's radar. Yeah.
Exactly. All of trading is about supply. Demand is artificially created. And there's two types of buying. There's real buying for investment purposes. And then there's buying like you see in our markets, which is buying to move a market up to sell a position that you bought at a cheaper price. There is an element to the US capital markets, which is the wholesale market making side. They take the other side of our trades and provide us liquidity. So what I would do was I would have, say, 50 million shares of stock between 20 or 30 different accounts, all offshore. Okay. Then what we do is we pay one of these, like one of these, touty trader rooms. We'd wire them 75 grand to their offshore account, and they'd tell all their traders to come in and buy the stock. So when they did that, what I would do is I would fill them. So what happened was there was a market maker called Knight Securities and then Schwab. Knight got bought by Virtue, and Knight was the big animal in the house, and they got 90% of the order flow. So E-Trade, Ameritrade, TD, Scottrade, all of those places routed to Knight. So I'd call my guys at Knight and I'd go, listen, ABCD, show me bids. And what I would do is I would manipulate all the market makers on a level 2 it was like sort of my chessboard. So I'd move all the market makers around with my orders because I was the only one who had supply.
Right.
Right. So Knight would call me, it would be $1 bid. He'd go, JJ, I can pay the bid for 200,000 shares. So I'd sell him 200,000 shares at 97 cents and he'd make $6 grand for picking up the phone for calling me for a 10-second phone call. Right. I would charge 4% on that trade of the dollar volume, the dollar value of that trade. And that's how we made money. And the promoter who got the stock for free didn't care about price. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's what a lot of traders don't understand is when there is outside supply in the market, it doesn't care about price. It's looking for liquidity.
Right.
If I have 5 million shares to sell and it's $5 bid, and I see a bid for $3 for 500,000 shares, I'm hitting that bid and I will go right through you to get to it. Right. So that's what I did. I would move market makers around. I would pay them. At $3 for 500,000 shares, I'm hitting that bid and I will go right through you to get to it. Right. So that's what I did. I would move market makers around. I would pay them at $3 for 500. And that's how we made money. And the promoter who got the stock for free didn't care about price. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's what a lot of traders don't understand is when there is outside supply in the market, it doesn't care about price. It's looking for liquidity.
Right.
If I have 5 million shares to sell and it's $5 bid, and I see a bid for $3 for 500,000 shares, I'm hitting that bid and I will go right through you to get to it. Right. So that's what I did. I would move market makers around. I would pay them. Retail trading is all about discipline and homework and stuff like that. On the other side, it's about doing favors, extortion, blackmail. That's how you get work done. But what happens is, if you have 200, 300 million shares, I open the stock at 5 cents. I'll move it up to $2-3, and then we'll start selling her down. You get 50 cents for 100 million shares. That's not a bad 3 weeks work, right?
Not a bad payday. Yeah.
Especially if you don't pay taxes on it. Right?
Exactly.
So, my first client was a Swiss bank.
Are you looking to establish your business using an address other than your home? Wish you had a...
So all my clients were either Swiss banks,
TPST.
stuff out of the Cayman Islands. And the reason I don't show my face is a lot of my
CRKN.
clients are still alive, and some of them are, I mean, I traded for some pretty extremely wealthy people, ex-CIA spooks,
TPST.
arms dealers, things like that. You know, I would do short squeezes. That was my specialty, is how to engineer and manipulate a short squeeze. I once took a stock from 30 cents to $300.
Beautiful.
I once held live, and some of them are, I mean, I traded for some pretty extremely wealthy people, ex-CIA spooks, arms dealers, things like that. You know, I would do short squeezes. That was my specialty. Is how to engineer and manipulate a short squeeze. I once took a stock from 30 cents to $300.
Beautiful.
I once held a NASDAQ $30 stock at 90 RSI for 3 months. Things like that. So I would engineer. So I don't show my face because I'm not really supposed to be talking about this, because my business cards used to say your secrets die with me. But,
I like that. I like that.
Right. So, but after meeting retail traders, it just made me sick to see how people are losing money because they don't understand the business. And I was like, okay, you know what? You know, I've taken enough. Maybe it's time to give something back. And nobody really talks about the stuff I do. So it's, I find that really odd because I've never really looked into the retail trading community until the last couple of years. And I thought, you know, at least if I can tell these people what's going on at, you know, what time of the day these guys are doing this type of business, you know, maybe I can help some people, you know, at least make some money, or at least not blow up their accounts, you know.
SRFM.
And I guess, you know, so now we'll kind of get through the timeline, and then I'm sure we'll have plenty of discussion. So this is the 90s. You're doing that kind of. What changed? Why did you leave? Or you know, or you know, kind of give us the rest of the story arc, I guess.
Well, there was one of the clients that I was trading for was a really snaky dude. He looked like Walter Matthau. And one day I had the flu. We were doing a short squeeze, and I had taken the stock from 25 cents to $25. And what we were doing was using
that's the kind of stock Steven loves to short. He loves it.
Right?
Exactly.
Oh, well,
STLA,
to keep out of them because I see what these people do. And I see what you guys do, and I see how manipulative it is. It's unbelievable. But we've got to clear your game.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of normal shorts that you can take when there's supply. But a lot of these times, what I'll do is I'll restrict supply. So I'll have a short position that's bigger than the float. There's a way to do that. There's a plumbing that exists underneath the stock market called clearing and settlement, which not a lot of people pay attention to, but that's how you make big money. There's lots of normal shorts that you can take when there's supply. But a lot of these times, what I'll do is I'll restrict supply. So I'll have a short position that's bigger than the float. There's a way to do that. There's a plumbing that exists underneath the stock market called clearing and settlement, which not a lot of people pay attention to, but that's how you make big money, by paying attention to all those little details. Most people, for example, don't know that when they own a stock in their brokerage account, they don't actually own it. It's owned by SINT Company, which is the nominee for DTC. So they don't even know that they don't own the stock. They just have a legal agreement with the brokerage firm, who has a legal agreement with SINT Company and their transfer agent or their clearing. So a lot of these things people don't understand, but those things in the system you manipulate. Like I would always do short squeezes at the end of the month because market makers don't sell a lot at the end of the month short because they don't want to be offside because they don't get paid. So they'll back away from offers. Why do you think stocks run at the end of the month? Right? Right. There's tactical things. Everything we do is tactical. We have a plan, we have agenda, and we carry out that plan. And so I was doing this happily, having a great time. This client like Walter Matthau, we were doing a short squeeze. I got the flu, and my stupid partner let this guy trade in excess of the account. And what he did was he took $7 million out of the prime broker at Manufacturers Trust. And not Manufacturers Trust,
Manufacturers
M&T. M&T Bank. And what they did is we had DVP accounts, and they stuck us with the buys, and they grabbed the sells at $25, and I was left with a $700,000 debit.
Shit.
So the only time I've ever lost money trading is when your client screws you, because that's what happens. So there was another broker who was doing really well.
Peloton, and
he was
TrueMed
doing about
partnership
$5-6 million a month.
consumers to prioritize health
And
needs
he said,
with
"Listen, I need
HSA,
you
FSA dollars,
to come run my trading
Papa
room.
Tango Oscar November.
It's out of the city, but I won't take any of your commissions, and you'll be able to pay off your debt quicker." So I did, and I went to work for a guy who we traded for the #1 guy from Stratton Oakmont, one of the brokers from Wolf of Wall Street.
I was going to say that was one of Belford's, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was one of Jordan's, and most of Jordan's
KNDI Candy
were
Technologies
sophomores
naming a
because
new
they said,
chairman, Kilo
Belford
November
said,
Delta
$50
India.
million in a year. These guys were like,
NOK,
well, if I just do my
Nokia,
own
November
deal, sell my
Oscar
own stock, I'll
Kilo,
make $50 million in a
Nokia
week.
and Raska
right?
deploy first 5G network in
So
Costa Rica.
what these guys did was they put deals
That
together.
is
I traded
November
them
Oscar
out.
Kilo.
Some of the really heavy-duty criminal ones. See, back in the day, you didn't even need ID to open an account.
Oh, really?
So you would have all of these fake accounts. One guy who ran probably through my boss, he ran at least $500,000 of commission
Health
a month
naming a
through
new
my boss.
CFO.
All we knew was his name was Florida.
Golf Oscar Charlie Oscar.
Right.
Now, is this unique to Vancouver, or was this like?
Hey guys, just visiting a property that I made money on that I didn't have to wholesale, fix and flip, or buy and hold.
Drive
In fact, I'm
announcing new and expanded distribution with leading retailers, including BJ.
No.
I was going to say.
This is all, Now, they've regulated the brokerage industry so much, but I mean, when I got into it, it was the 90s, and it was still Wild West.
Okay.
We had paper tickets. Everything was everything. My job was to look at the rules and figure a way around them without getting us arrested.
Yeah.
So,
reminds me of Days of Thunder, the Tom Cruise, the NASCAR movie,
Yeah.
It's your job to catch me, man, when they're racing cars. Yeah.
Yeah. And we were just, it was a great time because, you're in your 20s and you're making 200 grand a month. My market makers were making 4 or 5 million a month. Right. So if I was retail trading and I lost 20 grand, I'd just call up somebody and go, "Hey, can you put up 20 for me?" And they'd take it. So they'd take the bad trade off of me. That's not a good habit as a retail trader, right?
Sure.
Because you don't, you can always get some, or you can stuff it in a client account that owes you money or something, right?
Yeah.
So we had a lot of bad habits that way. And what was going on was there was a client of this guy, my boss, and we'll call him T-Bone. And the client was using fake ID to open accounts. And he ran a massive deal where they had enough money to actually advertise on CNBC. And this thing was trading millions and millions of dollars worth of dollar volume every day. It was trading like a NASDAQ deal on the OTCBB, which was pink sheets at the time. And I kept saying to the compliance officer, who was a young guy that we used to bribe, because
I love that your compliance guy takes bribes.
Oh yeah, because his sister had an account, and we just run trades through his sister's account.
I bet he won the best compliance officer award every month.
Yeah. It's like, hey, your sister made 5 grand. Click, right? And we just run flips through his account, and we used to call him Radio Raheem, and Radio. I kept telling Radio, I go, "Man, there's a lot of money going through this office, man. There's something. Are you sure everything's okay?" And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, because most brokers were making 200-300 grand a month. My boss was making 6 million a month, right? Right. And I'm like, I don't know, man. And I go, these deals they're trading so much dollar volume, and this is before like awesome penny stocks and those guys, and so trading $20-30 million worth of paper in a day was quite an accomplishment. And I was like, oh man, I just like,
we lost you for about 10 seconds there.
Are you there?
Yep.
Hear me? Oh, yeah.
You just dropped out for a second.
Oh, sorry. So
that was Radio Raheem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was Radio Raheem.
Make sure you get your tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
He hears you now. He hears you now, JJ.
He hears me now.
JJ, what do you think is the most important thing, though, that the traders, the retail traders now need to watch out for?
Well, they think they need to know the business. They need to understand what's going on in the business and how it pertains to them. The biggest mistake I see people doing is shorting when there's no supply. And going after those kind of sexy stocks when, like Ray, who's been on your podcast, I mean, he'll come up with something like a 9 EMA scan where they can just take a nice, easy trade and just, hug the EMA and everything will be okay. Right. So it's just, it's that, it's that feeling I get that so much of the trading information is wrong out there. And I hate to say it, but I've taken 200 companies public. And I've traded billions of dollars in dollar volume. And I've done things that, like, honestly, that are just absolutely, I mean, selling stock to Germany, I've done all of that, so I look at the way people are trading and they're like, you see people doing things like shorting Tesla. When you look, all you need to do is look at the float, look who owns it, and realize that they're not selling it for 20 years. Why would you short it? There's no supply, right? People, the thing is, they've overcomplicated trading so much that people forget that all this stuff started under a tree 300 years ago. And we were so smelly, they wouldn't even let us, into a building. So, and I grew up with the kind of guys that were street smart. The first time I went to the New York Stock Exchange and met floor traders there were guys from Staten Island, Jersey. They didn't have PhDs.
No.
They weren't from Wharton.
None
they were
of them
street
do.
smart.
Totally.
Right. So I see so much a tendency to overcomplicate trading. And trading is all about supply. If there's no outside supply, then it's just inside supply, which is moved back and forth by wholesale, because that's their business model, right? They take it up, sell it to us. When we get tired of holding it, they take it down, buy it back, and they'll take a market up and hold it up to sell what they bought cheaper. And nobody understands that. Right. And if you understood that, then you wouldn't be shorting when they're moving the market up. Right. No outside supply. So, and I grew up with the kind of guys that were street smart. The first time I went to the New York Stock Exchange and met floor traders there were guys from Staten Island, Jersey. They didn't have PhDs.
No.
They weren't from Wharton.
None
they were
of
street
them do.
smart.
Totally.
Right. So I see so much a tendency to overcomplicate trading. And trading is all about supply. If there's no outside supply, then it's just inside supply, which is moved back and forth by wholesale, because that's their business model, right? They take it up, sell it to us. When we get tired of holding it, they take it down, buy it back, and they'll take a market up and hold it up to sell what they bought cheaper. And nobody understands that, right? And if you understood that, then you wouldn't be shorting when they're moving the market up, right? You'd be just going with it, right?
Is there like a website though that's like, do not short this, the supply's been removed? Like, is there a website that just tells us this? Or what?
No, it's just a little common sense. Here's the thing, there's a very secretive website. Nobody's ever heard of it.
VUZI.
It's called Yahoo Finance. On there, you can go in and type in a stock and it'll tell you statistics. It'll tell you what the structure is. Most people are trading stock. They don't even know what structure is. When you take a company public, it is structured in a way. There's an outstanding, there's an issued, and there's a float. And in that float, you have to see who owns that float, because it's all about who owns the marbles. It doesn't matter. You know, Bailey Gifford owns a huge position in on there. You can go in and type in a stock and it'll tell you statistics. It'll tell you what the structure is. Most people are trading stock. They don't even know what structure is. When you take a company public, it is structured in a way. There's an outstanding, there's an issued, and there's a float. And in that float, you have to see who owns that float, because it's all about who owns the marbles. It doesn't matter. You know, Bailey Gifford owns a huge position in Tesla. Their time frame to hold an investment is 20, 30 years. They think that stock's going to 10,000.
So do I.
Why the hell would they sell it at $600?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So there's no supply. Right. People get so involved in indicators and this and that and sunspots and, you know, bulls holding flags. I don't know how they do. They have hooves. There's no retractable thumbs.
TIGR.
You know, I don't get all of this stuff. I don't even use candles. I use market profiles because it shows me where the position is. Right. And thank God I learned that, because I mean, I used to
TPST.
build candles, but I don't trade them at all. And that's not taking anything away, but wouldn't you want to trade?
The transition to digital dollars could ruin your retirement plans. The elites have tightened their grip with
TPST.
And actually understand the business. And instead of thinking about what could, should happen, use this, that. Listen, I used to write news releases when the CEOs are too drunk, or when you can't find them after you've given them $2 million and they go on a bender. Right. So I was the guy who wrote the news releases. Why the hell would I read anything that, you know, or trust that? Right. It's all that's all advertising. Like when they take a stock up in the pre-market, that's advertising to get you to come.
Exactly. Yep.
Right. Just like when I was a bouncer, you open the club at 9, at 11, you start a lineup, even if the club is empty. Right. It's all that's all advertising. Like when they take a stock up in the pre-market, that's advertising to get you to come.
Exactly. Yep.
Right. Just like when I was a bouncer, you open the club at 9, at 11, you start a lineup, even if the club is empty. Why? Because people will go stand in line. People will always chase price. You get them to chase it in the pre-open. And here's the thing, right? It's all that's all advertising. Like when they take a stock up in the pre-market, that's advertising to get you to come.
Exactly. Yep.
Right. Just like when I was a bouncer, you open the club at 9, at 11, you start a lineup, even if the club is empty. Why? Because people will go stand in line. People will always chase price. You get them to chase it in the pre-open. And here's the thing, deal guys know this, but most retail traders don't know that you can move a market up a lot pre-open, because market makers don't have to make good on the minimum. So you can call them and you can tell them to move away, and they'll back away, so that you're doing them a favor. Right? So they pull their offers, you open on a gap, retail comes in, and that's buying that you've created, and then you sell it to them. Right? It's all that's all advertising. Like when they take a stock up in the pre-market, that's advertising to get you to come.
Exactly. Yep.
Right? Just like when I was a bouncer, you open the club at 9, at 11, you start a lineup, even if the club is empty. Why? Because people will go stand in line. People will always chase price. You get them to chase it in the pre-open. And here's the thing, deal guys know this, but most retail traders don't know that you can move a market up a lot pre-open, because market makers don't have to make good on the minimum. So you can call them and you can tell them to move away, and they'll back away, so that you're doing them a favor. Right? So they pull their offers, you open on a gap, retail comes in, and that's buying that you've created, and then you sell it to them.
Yep.
Right? You take markets up to create demand, and then you introduce supply. That's why you have a market. It's just like Walmart, except instead of toasters, we're selling you worthless paper.
Sure, exactly.
You know?
Stephen, did you have a question?
Yeah, actually, Stephen.
I
I forgot. Sorry.
And
EVGO.
EVGO, 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 EVGO.
Fed's Cook does not
EVGO.
comment on economic or monetary policy outlook and prepared remarks at event in South
EVGO.
Carolina.
TPST.
You know just how time consuming it can be searching for royalty-free media. And when you do find some, they're
CDNA,
CRKN. CRKN. WHLR. CRKN. CRKN. WHLR. CRKN. CRKN.
CRNX, KLTO, CELH, CELH, CELH,
CRKN. 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 CRKN.
Atom,
CRKN.
PRTC. MSTX, MSTX.
Rule. Rig. Rig. CELH. EVGO. NVD. CRKN. SQQQ. TPST. CELH.
Getting a fresh deal is so
WHLR.
easier. Just buy any footlong in the app, get another free.
WHLR.
MA MasterCard says Pearpoint says Vodafone, Sumitomo's Economy of Things business and company announced collaboration in payment service. New embedded payments technology will launch in the UK and roll out
WHLR.
across Europe. That's Michael Alpha.
WHLR. CELH.
ASRT.
WHLR. CELH. CELH. WHLR. CELH. CRKN, TPST, CRKN, CRKN, TPST, CRKN, CRKN,
MNSB, Main Street Bank shares, says estimates Q3 loss of 4 cents per share. Mike and November, Sandy Bravo.
For a little savings, Specialist Miller buys in bulk. For a lot of savings, she bundles her home and auto insurance with USAA, putting more money back in her...
CELH, 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 CELH.
LABD,
CELH,
CELH, GXO,
In the past at college, I've struggled with overusing the same words again and again in my essays. I do a lot of writing, and tools like Grammarly are essential. Grammarly is an AI writing partner that helps me efficiently craft quality writing across different platforms and save time. I've been using the free version of Grammarly since high school, but upgrading to Grammarly Premium for college-level workloads has been a game changer. From quickly identifying passive voice misuse, providing
Monday.com has transformed our company. It's how our teams who run the Orca collaborated seamlessly to develop the Orca species we know and love today.
This ship is heaven. Doctor, it's your job to keep everybody alive.
At Alienware, we're always working to improve how you experience your favorite games. That's why our latest monitor
I'd say I'm blown away, but I kind of knew it happened, but I just didn't know that it was like this just big club and everyone's just getting super rich. I thought it was on a smaller scale, and I didn't realize it was so people were so like brash about it, and just people made a lot of money. I mean, I feel sorry for us retail traders, but I mean, I don't know what to ask. It's kind of like just, again, I mean, we just, as traders, we just cut losses quickly. If something looks sketchy, if something looks amiss, we just try and guess what the market makers are doing and just.
And the thing is, it's really not that complicated. It's just that nobody takes the time to learn because nobody ever talks about what I talk about. I don't know why it's never discussed.
Because nobody wants to walk away from that kind of money, JJ. Like, who wants to explain the secret sauce? It's like the secret sauce. What's in there? What's in their benefit? Like, I mean, you have a decency.
So here's my question. You know, and I 100% agree with you. But you know, like let's say the listener out there.
What if there was a way to know if a stock will be bullish or bearish the day before? The truth is,
where do they go to learn this? Versus, you know, do they go to the strip club at 3 a.m. and look and try and get a job?
No. Here's the thing: there are people and books who have educated. Those books and people are not okay. Well, there's Reminiscence of a Stock Operator, which I've given out 50 copies of that at least.
Wow.
I have a copy in my phone, in my car. Wow. It's like the Bible. I carry it around because every month I reread it. Wow. And I find stuff he talked about that still takes place now.
Wow.
There's a book written in 1874 by a man called William Worthington Fowler that describes all of the operations of Vanderbilt, Morgan, all of these big manipulators. This has been going on since time began. U.S. Steel, the very first billion-dollar public company, right? Morgan took it public with Carnegie and Schwab. But in the end, they needed to hire James R. Keene to make a market to dispose of $500 million worth of paper, right? You need to create a market to sell size into. That is what the markets are all about. And I teach this every day, and not to tout my thing, but what I like to do is I like to tell people, look, this is the common sense. This is the business. This is when we trade. This is when we don't. This is what we look for, right? And when it's not doing that, just chill, right? I like retail trading because I find it relaxing compared to what I do. Because I used to have to manipulate 20, 30 different stocks at the same time. So I'd have 30 level twos up on
50 different brokerage accounts and everything. And
well,
how did you even do that? How did you even do that in the 90s with your 486
DTSS?
Phones. Okay, everything was on phones. Like you'd have a big phone with 20 speed dials, and then see in the old days, like if I wanted to wipe out 6 bids, I'd take 2 phones. My partner would take 2 phones, and the guy on the other side of me would take 2 phones, and we'd go 1, 2, 3, ready, and we'd all hit 6 market makers instantaneously to wipe out their bids.
Oh my God.
Right?
DTSS.
Or to lift their offers to clean out their inventory. Right? There are other things too, like if I'm trading a stock and I want to get people short, I'll put a market maker who doesn't have any call, that doesn't have a lot of clients. I'll put him on the low offer, and then I'll auto execute all the big ones off of his offer, clean out their inventories, lift his offer, and then jam the market up.
See, so this is and this is where Stephen. So
DTSS.
See, this
clean out their inventory, right? There are other things too, like if I'm trading a stock and I want to get people short, I'll put a market maker who doesn't have any call, that doesn't have a lot of clients. I'll put him on the low offer, and then I'll auto execute all the big ones off of his offer, clean out their inventories, lift his offer, and then jam the market up.
See, so this is this is where Stephen. So Stephen and I are obviously retail traders, okay? And we really focus on low floats, okay? That's kind of our niche, low floats in a hot sector with a day one type press release. Now, what's different between you and I is I used to try and short these and did it for years, and then I felt like a market shift in like 2016. So now I'm almost exclusively looking to play the squeeze when I see that float rotating, 10 times, 100 times. And because I think I recognized a change in the market. Now, Stephen shorts those and does well at it because he's so good at, at sticking to stop losses and stuff. But what is, and that's why Kim brought you on as the they, because Stephen and I talk about this a lot is, we see this, like you said, you've got that, that sketchy stock that's bullshit press release
FFIE.
that's jammed up in pre-market, pulls at the open, and then rips back. Is that the they? I mean, is that? Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
DTSS.
So here's the thing. In the pre-market, what we do, if you guys know what a box is,
box in a trade, like
box of trade, yeah.
No, the box account.
No,
the box. That's the account that runs the stock.
Okay.
Okay. Usually it's the deal guys or a group of deal guys, and it's the cash and the stock are in those accounts. So what happens is in the pre-market, I will bid the market up. You guys will come, right? This is called a gap and trap. So we gap the market up, right? Right. We gap it. We sell it.
I like the sounds of this.
Right. And we hold it up we hold the market up just to sell it to you, right? Now, once, like we have a saying, when the ducks are quacking, feed them. So you guys come, we feed you. Then when you're overstuffed, we pull the bid, and that's the trap. And then take out all your stops, buy it all back. That up and down motion cashes up the box. So now we have all your stock and all your cash. So we've made a little bit of money. Now what we do is we cut supply. And then that second run starts. Right? And then we'll sell into that gently. Now, if it's a good, what I say, my book is called, the one I'm writing is called Proper Villains. And I'll say, if it's a good criminal, they'll take their time and they'll feather the selling out.
The long con, as they say.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know the story about the two bulls, right? The story about the two bulls is the first thing you learn on a trade desk, right?
Yep.
When you have all the money and all
Steven's the young bull and I'm the old bull. You know?
Right.
You know the saying, right? Right. You know the saying, Steven?
Here's a simple trading strategy where you trade the same asset every day at the same time. You can use it to achieve trading.
Yeah, I get it, but look, everything that you're saying and all of the words that you're using, we just have different words. So like, we know your game, we don't know the intricacies, we don't know how you do it, but we know that we're like, they are soaking. Like, there's soaking going on. Someone's soaking the stock. Someone's holding the price. This is going to go parabolic. They're going to soak, and send it parabolic soon. Or for example, we'll know that it's ran up, and then someone will pull the rug. So as retail traders, we have like the same words but different for things.
I mean, I talk manipulator ease, right? And I try and translate that to retail. But yeah, so we'll that move in the pre-market cashes us up. It allows us to hold the bid at higher prices and make it go parabolic, like you say. When it goes parabolic, retail just comes running. Right? They just chase, because human beings chase price, right? Just like they'll stand in line to buy an iPhone, right? It's just human behavior, right? So when you chase price, we fill you. Now, if the stock has any kind of supply at all, I mean, we'll start filling, but if there is really no supply and the thing actually is not being run properly, it can just keep going and going and going. But most of these deals now, the way the market is structured, most of these deals either have a convertible debenture or an institutional holder or an offshore holder that has a sizable position, and they will liquidate into that buying, right? We always sell into strength.
Yep.
Yeah, but just to clarify, so you'll pull the supply and then you'll ignite the fire, get the demand going, get the retailers interested. You've already pulled the supply, so it's easy to push that stock higher.
Exactly.
You'll get the retailers to chase it. Then when it's really just too good to be true, boom, you hit that selling, you put that supply back in the market, and all of a sudden you guys take.
Yeah. And the thing is,
it's beautiful. I want to be on your side.
It's a great thing. And see, I mean, I used to do this all the time. I used to always remember when someone's desperate to sell, you must take advantage of them. So what I would do, see, in the old days, we would have these pirate market making firms. Right, there was a firm called Fierro Brothers who were notorious short seller. The guy used to wear a bulletproof vest to work because.
Oh my God!
Right,
Jeez.
We had guys like this.
All short sellers should wear a bulletproof vest.
Right. So this is back when we were allowed to naked short. So what I would do is, if I knew that there was a Vancouver promoter who had a crappy deal and I didn't like the guy, say, or he was a dirtbag. Right. So they've got a deal and they're paying for promotion, right? I know that the guy can't trade his way out of a wet paper bag. So I call Knight and I go, show me bids. So he'll go, hey, JJ, I can pay 100,000. I can pay $1 or the bid for 100,000 shares. So I go, great. I'll sell you 100,000 at 96 or 97 cents. He makes $4,000 for making the call. Right. And then I'll say, get the hell out of the way. right? Or I'll flash 666 on the offer, right? Then my guys know to get the hell out of the way, and then I will beat the holy living crap out of that stock from 97 cents down to 60 cents. The people who are on the other side of the deal in Vancouver, because they're not used to trading OTC BB stocks, have no idea what's going on, right? So I knock it down to 60 cents, and then I'll send another market maker to the promoter's trader and say, listen, I can pay you 65 cents for 100,000. They'll sell it because they got that stock for free.
Yeah.
So now I've made 40 cents on 100,000 shares for 20 minutes work.
Now how do one of the mechanics things that I've never fully understood is like, how do you, and I don't want anything to do with any of this, but like, how does someone obtain this paper? Is this in like shady back rooms over lines of coke or what?
No. Usually it's at places like Peter Luger or Smith Walensky. Here's what happens, right? When I first started in this advertising business, that the little bullwhip
TPST. WW.
NUWE. BCLI. Turb. Tourer.
RNAZ shares at the
PHUN.
highs now up about 13%. Romeo November Alpha Zulu.
MITK.
Company earlier announcing the completion of its initial dosing in their phase 1 clinical trial with TTX MC138. That's Romeo November Alpha Zulu.
MYND.
MYND.
FBIO. WW.
MYND.
NUWE.
WW.
WW. ACB. MOB.
WW.
NUWE. BCII.
WW.
NYMT. MITK.
NNE, Nano-Nuclear
GOTU.
Energy at the highs
WW.
now, $16.84. November Echo.
WW.
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 MYND.
WW. SIM.
WW.
FBIO. ANNX. HUSA. Tourer. CRF. CELH9. WW. WW. Tourer.
WW. CRKN.
Turb. BKSY.
CELH.
Russia's deputy foreign minister said new meeting of the Nuclear Five will be held in New York in the near future.
FLGC. Turb.
BPTH.
As.
WHLR.
SKYX.
WHLR. BPTH.
INMD. RRGB. RRGB.
SRFM.
HNST. CMTL.
SRFM.
CMTL.
SRFM.
CELH.